Hello everyone. Is time linear or cyclical? Now, time is something that we usually view as a procession of moments to minutes to hours to days, months, years, millennia. But many of us believe that time is actually cyclical. That it always proceeds in a cyclical fashion, a circular motion. That there are certain ages that are at the height of what sentient beings in life accomplishes, and there are certain ages where we become disillusioned. The same valleys of disillusion, the same peaks of evolution, both spiritual and physical. Now, a lot of people believe that science and spiritual evolution and physical scientific evolution, Darwinian evolution, are two separate things, but we know that in Hinduism that these are actually things that progress along the same cyclical progression. They both progress in the same way at the same rate most of the time. Now, Kriya Yoga, what Paramahansa Yogananda practiced, and of course his masters before him, attempts to both progress one along the physical evolutionary path and the spiritual evolutionary path. And I believe that is fact. Now, most Hindus, though, believe that we are currently in Kali Yuga. And yugas are ages. Hinduism deals with ages that can go into like hundreds of millions to billions of years. Some Hindus say that a day of Brahma is 4 billion years, and a night of Brahma is also 4 billion years. And then one day and night of Brahma is much less for a day and night of Vishnu. And Brahma is the creationary aspect, Vishnu is the preserving aspect, the societal civilization aspect. And there are many, many days of Brahma to every day of Vishnu. And then Shiva, that destructionary aspect of God, but also that aspect of God that is beyond creation and thus sees it for what it is and wants us to move past it as quickly as possible. And there are many, many, many days of Vishnu that compose a day of Shiv. But I'm kind of getting away from the point. The point is that we are in an age. We are in an age that most people think that we are actually descending. Most religions believe that ever since either the classical times or before, we've been slowly descending and we're going to keep descending until everything is destroyed. But like Paramahansa Yogananda, because he's convinced me, I believe that we are actually in an ascending age. And that the ages in Hinduism aren't necessarily in billions of years or millions of years, at least not completely. That there are actually small ages within these larger cycles. Let me explain. A lot of Hindus believe that we're in Kali Yuga, but Paramahansa Yogananda actually says that we're in Dwapara Yuga, the ascending age, basically, right after Kali Yuga. And he basically says, and now I highly recommend this book, A World in Transition, it's Finding Spiritual Security in Times of Change, by Paramahansa Yogananda, also Sri Dayamata Taramata, and Mrinalini Mata Ananda Damoy. These are four different disciples of Swami Paramahansa Yogananda. Now, Paramahansa Yogananda is Hindu, but he looks up to both Krishna and Jesus Christ. He believes they're both avatars, and he has convinced me of the same thing. Now, I'll read a little bit about the current age that we're in from this book, and this is on page 10, and once again, this book is called A World in Transition. And this is about the current age we're in, Dwapara Yuga, the present cycle. The earth has passed through Kali Yuga, the materialistic age of 1,200 years duration. According to the calculations of my guru, Swami Sri Yukteswar, We are about 240 years into Dwapara Yuga, the second age, which consists of 2,400 years. Now, in its ascendancy, this is the electrical age, even though it may yet seem very materialistic. If you think about it, you will see how man has progressed from comprehending only gross matter to understanding and harnessing the energy in matter. Keep in mind, he's writing this during the Second World War, World War II. In this age, man will make great headway in electrical or electromagnetic field, electromagnetic field of science. As Dwapara Yoga progresses, disease will be treated and healed more and more by rays. Vibratory energy can reach the electronic factors of the atoms, the building blocks of matter, where gross chemicals cannot penetrate. After this war, you will see a great surge of development in electrical science. Aviation will develop tremendously. Also, travel will be much more by air. Planes are still viewed with doubt by many today, just as trains were once looked upon with fear. But planes are already taking over, and trains have become almost a thing of the past. Gradually, automobiles will come to be considered as carts. Now he's talking about the world at large here, so not just the United States. The United States was very much ahead at this time. The trouble in the second age is that there is not enough security, because science plays the part of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Man uses science not only to create and do good, but to destroy as well. Therefore, scientific development is not yet safe. The present world war shows how the technology of science is being used to destroy mankind. Out of the conflict, we will learn how to employ more scientific devices for human comfort. But unless we develop spiritual forces, we will also continue to use scientific knowledge to destroy. People will learn from this war the devastating consequences of the misuse of technology. In the First World War, and in earlier times, it was considered chivalrous to fight. But the idea of chivalry has gone. In this war, no one wants to fight. After it is over, there will be so much fear of world devastation that if anybody tries to start a war, the rest of the world will fall upon that nation. I am telling you things far ahead of my time. And I'd like to point out that he was correct. He died before basically the heat of the Cold War, before the Vietnam War for the United States and before the Korean War. But, at least before the Korean War ended. He died in the early 50s, Paramahansa Yogananda. He clearly predicts things in the future as far as the progression of events. And right now, huge world wars are very much looked down upon by the global community because of nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons being developed in World War II. Technology starting just before World War II, of course. But the idea of World War was basically seen for what it was during World War II, and that's why after that the global community has looked down upon it. But I'll continue. People will learn from this war that the devastating consequences of the misuse of technology. In the First World War and earlier times, it was considered chivalrous to fight, but the idea of chivalry has gone. In this war, no one wants to fight. After it is over, there will be so much fear of world devastation that if anybody tries to start a war, the rest of the world will fall upon that nation. I'm telling you things are far ahead of my time, as I read. Man's destructive potential has grown much greater than his constructive power. There will be no safety in the electrical age. Methods of war on a greater and greater scale will come. So thank God that Dwapara Yoga, the electrical age, is only 2,400 years old. Every cycle. Dwapara Yoga is that long. Now, and cycle being, if we look at cycles on the grand scale, we can think of cycles as either Big Bangs or as vaster shiftings within a single Big Bang. And a day of Brahma can be considered a Big Bang. And night of Brahma is basically a universe withdrawn upon itself before another Big Bang. As I understand it, as Paramahansa Yogananda has explained it. This is through Paramahansa Yogananda, though. And I will read one more thing from this book. How our world will change. From a magazine article published in April 1942, in which Paramahansa Yogananda made the following predictions about how the world will change as it moves into the new era. And once again, this is April 1942. America and India, situated on opposite sides of the earth, will represent the two highest types of ideal material civilization and ideal spiritual civilization. They will influence the whole world with their combined civilization. The material efficiency of America combined with the spiritual efficiency of India will lead the world to a balanced existence. Science and religion will join hands to prevent the misuse of science in wars and to free religion from superstition, thus giving all the world a secure civilization. Experimental psychology will investigate religious methods and yoga techniques for human perfection and God contact. No matter what happens, the world will become better and better until the United States of India, of Asia, of Europe, and of the Americas are achieved and become ready to amalgamate into the United States of the world. The United States of the world will not come in a day nor in our lifetime, but a great deal of groundwork will be prepared in this 20th century. So basically, Paramahansa Yogananda gives us hope. He shows us that we are still resolving issues, but we are ascending beyond this idea that violence is good. And we have seen in religious wars and in nationalistic wars in recent centuries and all throughout Kali Yuga. Medieval times, I think, is that the Black Age, medieval times, the Dark Ages, was basically the height / complete descension of Kali Yuga, which means it's at the bottom of the circle, and now we're slowly ascending into the electrical age. And I think that we've done this before. I think that we fell from our knowledge. I think that we fell from our ability to fully utilize our biochemistry in our human bodies, because eventually we work to a time when we don't need electronics in order to have the kind of life that we even do now. We completely use our bodies to remember everything, to communicate across the world. And then once we start descending and we don't have those electronics anymore, we don't have those technological advances because we didn't need them, then that's when we start slowly coming down and we have to develop those technologies again, but eventually our dissolution becomes too great and it takes a long time to go back up. But this is all attributed to my idea as a Hindu. This is me as a Hindu saying all this, that time is cyclical, and that we've done this before in a way, and that we'll do it again in a way, not exactly the same, until every soul has reached moksha, liberation, enlightenment. And that's the purpose. Think of every soul as being quantumly entangled with the source, God. And eventually, once the illusions of time and space and separation are pushed aside, once these illusions are destroyed, then that's when our quantum relation with God will be completely unified once more. But thank you very much for watching. This has been a video about time being cyclical from a Hindu. Thank you very much.